The news from ITN.
The dollar dives in the Far East and in Europe. The dollar got off to a shaky start on the European foreign exchanges this morning after record post-war lows in Tokyo overnight. Against the pound, the dollar was trading at 1.8640, down 3 cents since Christmas Day.
The city is preparing itself for a shock when trading begins again tomorrow. While market makers have been enjoying the Christmas holiday, their counterparts in Tokyo have been watching further crashes in share values and falls in the dollar. In the 3 days of trading since Christmas Eve, the Japanese share index has fallen by 4.5%. And despite intervention from the Bank of Japan, the dollar's been in free fall too. Traders there don't believe the Americans will jump in to support it. This morning, in quiet trading, European central banks have been doing their best to shore up the battered dollar, but all eyes will turn to see which way Wall Street goes when it opens this afternoon. On the first day of the crash in October, London saw almost no activity because of the hurricane that hit the southeast. It caught up with the rest of the world when it reopened on Black Monday. The city is hoping that tomorrow proves less traumatic.
President Reagan has called on the Soviet Union to end its occupation of Afghanistan in 1988. It followed a Soviet claim that government troops have broken the siege of Khost, the border city rebel troops had held for 8 years, and reopened road links to the provincial capital of Gardez.
The Russians have been battling to break the siege of Khost ever since they first marched into Afghanistan 8 years ago. A garrisoned town in a region controlled by Afghan rebels, it's important tactically and symbolically to both sides. The Russians have been showing American film of the fighting on Moscow TV news bulletins. They claim they've broken through. The rebels admit there is some truth in that claim, but say Soviet forces are still 6 miles from the actual town. Russian television last night carried a report from Kabul showing state security agents discovering a cache of arms intended, the report said, for use in an attack today on the Soviet embassy in the city. Otherwise, the streets of the capital appeared quiet on this anniversary of the occupation. In the world's capitals, though, Afghan exiles took to the streets in their thousands, here in Islamabad, calling for an end to Soviet intervention in Afghanistan.
A teacher from Suffolk has been sentenced to death in Burma for getting his Burmese cook to kill his wife. Thomas Andrew Kirkpatrick and the cook were found guilty of murder by Insane Township Court. Mrs. Kirkpatrick died 2 weeks after she arrived in Rangoon to join her husband, who was teaching English there. Lawyers are to appeal and say that in the last 40 years, the death sentence has been carried out on only one foreigner. Christmas helpline set up by 3 London independent television and radio companies has been swamped by calls.
The staff of volunteers at Christmas Line have been rushed off their feet, fielding as many as 5,000 calls a day since the lines opened on Christmas Eve. Most of the calls have been requests to find doctors, dentists or chemists to cope with the inevitable domestic crises that crop up over the festive season. But skilled professional advice has also been on hand from the Samaritans to help the hundreds of people who can't cope with the loneliness and depression that also comes for many at Christmas.
We've had a lot of people calling us because they're having a rather miserable time at Christmas. I think there's a general myth that everybody enjoys themselves at Christmas, which is quite untrue. We have a lot of support from the Samaritans, and we have Samaritan volunteers on the shift all the time. And they will take those calls and talk to the person as long as is necessary to reassure them and to comfort them.
Not all the calls have been so serious, though. One man called in to find out where he could buy spare parts for a helicopter on Christmas Day. Another to find out how he could feed his Christmas present, a pet lobster. David Chater, ITN, Central London.
Yachting in the Sydney to Hobart Ocean Classic, Australia looked like taking first and second places. The Australian Maxi Sovereign, which is leading the 630-mile race, began on Boxing Day. She's being chased by Australian yacht Gazebo, which is damaged, but won't beat the race record of 2 days, 14 hours, 36 minutes set 12 years ago. The Sydney Hobart is the last in the series race for the Southern Cross Cup. Australia is leading the series with New Zealand in second place. And that's it. We're back again with more news and a full roundup of the day's soccer results at 10 to 5.